presentation will look at the impact of globalisation on international education, with a specific focus on education for girls in Pakistan. It is evident that international development and education is an area that is continuously striving for improvements, the overall aim being to remove gender discrimination and provide all with the right and accessibility to learn. So, what is globalisation and how has it affected education? Globalisation is the increase in interaction between individual companies and countries, which encourages the development of cultural exchange. From increasing trade work, the development of technology and continued interaction between countries, the process is leading the world to become more interconnected and independent. The vast developments around globalisation aim to become a platform of socio-economic and political enrichment which values diversity in its attempt to build one harmonious global village, as mentioned by Jota. As to be expected, the more globalisation has developed, the more research has taken place, and more concepts and definitions emerge. But does this pose a risk of losing sight of the initial targets that developing globalisation promised to achieve? Forrester and Garrett in 2016 recognised that to fully understand the term, its characteristics, complexity and persuasive influence need to be addressed. This means that the original objective of globalisation will not be lost. Also, in a 2018 TED Talk, Richard Baldwin acknowledges that future globalisation will be about things we do and not just what we make, and this is notable, especially through education, as the more support and programmes provided, the increasing beneficial outcomes will become clear internationally across education. Before taking a closer look at education for girls in Pakistan, let us understand education for women generally first. Even though vast progression has been made over time, women still face gender inequality in education. This is most apparent in deprived countries and has a significant impact on female life chances. The Sustainable Development Goals were introduced in September 2015 and seek to encapsulate and promote global aspirations across a wide array of topic areas broadly associated with sustainable development. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals identified 17 global goals that, if achieved, would increase sustainable development internationally. The development of these Sustainable Development Goals came as a response to the Millennium Development Goals of 2000, aiming to complete and finalise areas that the Goals of 2000 failed to do so. The Sustainable Development Goals were set to meet targets by 2030. With relation to this presentation, both Sustainable Development Goal 4 and 5 hold relevance. The 4th Sustainable Development Goal recognises the importance of quality education, whilst the 5th acknowledges gender equality and women empowerment. The importance of women's rights to education was a recurring factor through the Sustainable Development Goals to ensure women's rights to education. Each Sustainable Development Goal discusses targets set to achieve international equality across education. In relation to gender equality, the overarching target to achieve equality is Target 5.1, to end all forms of discrimination against women and girls. This coincides with the Equality Act in Schools of 2010, which states schools need to make sure that pupils of one sex are not singled out for different and less favourable treatment from that given to other pupils. They should check that there are no practices which could result in unfair, less favourable treatment. Although continued efforts and measures are put into place to secure the best educational future for girls, there is still evidence that girls are still disadvantaged due to their gender. To support this, here are a few facts and figures. Looking back to 2000, statistics highlighted that 113 million children were not in school. 2/3 of these were girls, and this shows how gender equality has been a recurring issue, something which is still very prevalent in society today. More recent progression published showed that between 2000 and 2018, after-school children of lower secondary decreased to 61 million from 99 million. Upper secondary again proved to be reducing as numbers fell from 177 million to 138 million. And this is reflected in Figure 1. Although over time the percentage has decreased, numbers are still high and girls are still more likely to be out of school compared to their male peers. To make changes attainable, the Executive Director of UNICEF, Henrietta Fore, stated that access to education is not enough and we must also change people's behaviours and attitudes towards girls to make changes more prevalent. Now we are going to look more closely at education for girls in Pakistan. With education, Pakistan is one of the most disadvantaged countries in the world. Despite obligations committed by the Constitution of Pakistan in 2012, by Article 25, which states that there should be no discrimination on the basis of sex, whilst Article 25A stipulates free and compulsory education to all children of the age of 5 to 16, inequalities within education are still evident. In 2014, nearly half of Pakistan's female population have not been to school, while 2/3 of the 60 million women of working age cannot read or write, and a total of more than 9 million girls do not go to school in Pakistan. Figure 1 presents the percentage of children out of school in the primary setting, divided up into regions. Across each region, girls had a higher percentage of being out of school compared to boys. Apart from ICT, which displayed an even split, differences rose up to a staggering 38%. Again, Figure 2 demonstrates gender inequalities with education in Pakistan, exploring out-of-school individuals in the primary to secondary school setting. Out of 9 regions, girls were more likely to not be in school from primary to secondary in 8 of them. Reasoning behind why girls are disadvantaged in education is because of the barriers they face due to their gender, which women must first overcome in order to achieve the potential of an education. Dogra acknowledges 6 barriers that limit the female chances, and these were the following: poverty, lack of safe private girls-only latrines, violence, child marriage, gender equality, and long distance to school. For girls to sustain a full-time education, it is imperative that these barriers are resolved. Malala Yousafzai is a young female activist for female empowerment and for all to have the right to education. From Pakistan, she was born on July 12, 1997. Alongside her father, Malala has always had a strong passion for education and children to have the right to be educated. By 2009, she began documenting a blog to share her passion, anonymously. As she became more commonly known and the word spread about her and her father's determination to secure girls' rights to education, on her way home from school, she was shot by the Taliban on the 9th of October 2012. Despite this, her passion was never hindered, and Yousafzai continued to spread the word about the importance of the right to education, and in 2014, at the age of just 17, she became the youngest individual to win a Nobel Peace Prize award. Speaking at the Peace Prize concert in 2015, Malala stated that 57 million children were still out of school, and if we don't educate our children, it means it becomes a generation lost. We all need to support the change because without everybody's input, changes will be minimal. Alongside her father, Malala co-founded the Malala Fund in 2014. The fund aims to empower young girls to achieve their full potential and become more confident, strong leaders. The fund regularly joins with local partners to invest in innovative solutions on the ground and advocates globally for quality secondary education for girls. As international awareness grows, so does support. Here are some charities and foundations, to name only a few, which are making drastic changes to educational opportunities for girls daily. Plan International, one of the largest organisations working with girls and boys worldwide, helping over 70 countries. They sponsored the Because I Am a Girl campaign, which aims to support the educational and future opportunities that are and should be available to girls. Their powerful promotion video, released in 2016, I'll Take It From Here, explored this effectively, as it showed how the organisation aims to see the potential in girls, help them stay in a good, safe school, find new and better ways for family to earn money, and give them skills for life. ActionAid, that's a charity specifically dedicated to the work of women and girls in poverty. Their girls' club that the charity implements through schools aims to offer a safe space for girls to learn about their rights to education. UNICEF, the world's leading organisation in children's rights, which supports innovative programmes that give the most vulnerable children the chance to learn. The organisation creates safe and protected spaces for children to learn, making their education accessible. They also provide resources to support learning and ensure their education is effective. UNESCO. They work closely with the Sustainable Development Goals to ensure that all will be achieved by the deadline of 2030. They work with children from preschool age all the way up to ensure that children are provided with the best opportunity possible. Despite all these changes and accomplishments that have been made, gender inequality within education is still significantly present internationally to this day. Something which needs to change and be adapted to ensure that all young individuals gain an education and their future opportunities are not limited.